Chapter 5, Day 5. Let's see if you can try matching each equation with the graph. Think about what the clues are, what you've learned so far about slope-intercept form. Remember, that is y equals mx plus b. And remember, b is your y-intercept. And m is your slope. So see if you can match those with the graph. Of course, there's one left over, so one won't be used. So pause the video, try these questions, and then restart the video. Okay, so here's what you should have gotten. Number 1 is letter C. You can tell that from the clues of the y-intercept being 4. So you find the graph with 4 and match that up, and then you can double check with the slope. Number 2 is A. Again, use your clue first of the y-intercept. And number 3 is letter B. So if you have questions on those, maybe go back and review the lessons you've worked on so far to try to understand that a little bit better. Now, here's a review, okay? Again, some other questions. Use the information that you maybe just were reminded about on that last sort of matching, and then see if you can do these skills. Pause the video, try these 4 questions, do some graphing and writing equations to see where you're at with those skills. Then restart the video and see if you got them correct. Okay, so when you graph the line, you start by graphing the y-intercept. So you plot the y-intercept right here of 2 on the y-axis. Then you use your slope to get to the next point. The slope is rise over run. So your rise is actually going down. It's going down 3. So that's where this came into play, down 3. And then you make it into a fraction by putting a 1 underneath. And when you do that, you get over 1 to the right since it's a positive number. So that's what your graph looks like. Usually you do your slope a couple times and your line will be straighter then. The second one, again, you have to pick out the y-intercept here from the equation. And so our y-intercept is at 4. Then again, use your slope. And again, remember slope is rise over run. So I'm going up 1 to the right 2. Question 3 asks you to write your equation in slope-intercept form. So you just take your slope that you're given and your y-intercept that you're given and you put them into the equation. So I have y equals, and then my slope here is 5. So I put in y equals 5x minus 1. And for question number 4, you just have to pick those out from your graph. Pick those out from your graph, and so you can see your y-intercept is 4 right here, and then your slope is 1/2, up 1 to the right 2. Whenever you go up, it's positive, and when you go down, it's negative. Right is positive, left is negative. I always start with a left point and go to a right, but you could go either way. It doesn't matter. You'll get the same result. All right, so today what we are going to do is we are going to write equations in slope-intercept form. But this time you're not necessarily going to be given both the slope and the y-intercept like you were on that last warm-up. Now we're going to have to use some things that we've already learned. So just for review, okay, see if you can find now the slope of the line that goes through these 2 points. So you're going to find the slope. So find the slope using these 2 points. If you don't know where to start, remember the slope formula for slope is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So go ahead, pause the video right now and see if you can calculate the slope correctly. Then restart the video to see if you are doing it correctly. So your slope here should be 3 over 2. That is your slope. Now, if you didn't get that, then listen to this explanation a little bit closer. Start by labeling your points as x and y. This is the first ordered pair, and then the second one is the second ordered pair. So that's why it gets the 2's rather than the 1's. Now we're going to plug them into the formula. My second y value is 1. So I'm going to take 1 minus my first y value right here, which is negative 2. So I have 1 minus a negative 2 all over, and now I take my second x value, which is 2, minus my first one, 0. So remember, subtracting a negative is adding the opposite, so this turns into plus 2. So that gives us 1 plus 2, which is 3, and then 2 minus 0, which is 2. We're going to need that skill today. So now we are going to see if we can write, once we have the equation, we have the slope, okay, and we got it right. So now we are going to graph the line. So I am going to plot one of those points. It doesn't matter which one. I'm going to plot 0, negative 2. And oh, that happens to be my y-intercept. And now my slope, remember, was 3 over 2. So I'm going to go up 3, 1, 2, 3, to the right 2. Down 3, to the right 2. Okay, so there's my line. So what you need to notice about this line is that when we calculated the slope, okay, we had 3 halves, but we didn't have our y-intercept necessarily with these 2 points that we were given. So how would we write the equation if we didn't have that? Well, what we would do is we would take one of the points and plug it in and write an equation and solve for b. So if we look at this, now what we're going to do is write the equation in slope-intercept form, which is going to be y equals 3 halves x, and then our y-intercept in this case was negative 2. I think I just graphed that one incorrectly because I did not use negative 2 here, so that actually should be down here. So let's go ahead and fix that. My y-intercept should be 0, negative 2, and then go up 3 over 2. Sorry about that. It's very easy to make a simple mistake with those, so we want to double check, and there we go. All right, so what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be given 2 points like this, or the slope, and one of the points, and we have to write an equation. Now we could always graph it and hope that we have that y-intercept, but there's another way to do it that I'm going to teach you. So when you write an equation in slope-intercept form, when you're given a point and a slope, you always need the m and the b. You always need the slope and you need the y-intercept to write the equation. And sometimes, like in the warm-up we did today, you're just given those things and you plot them in. But sometimes you're going to have to calculate them. Well, we know how to calculate the slope. Okay, we just did that. But we don't always have a way to find the y-intercept, except we can using algebra and solving equation skills that we have. So this is how we're going to do it. Here's what you should make sure if you're taking paper pencil notes that you put in your notes right here. So writing an equation in slope-intercept form when you're given a point, so you're given 1 point and you are given the slope. So what you're going to do is you're going to take and put the x and y, so the x value and the y value from the point that you're given into the equation y equals mx plus b. So you put the x value in here and you put the y value in here. So if you look at this example we're going to work through together right here, I'm given this point x, y. So what I would do is I would put in the x value of 3 right here and the y value of 4 right here. So what I would have is I would have 4 equals m times 3 plus b. So I put in the x and the y. But I can also take that slope that they gave me. So they also gave me the slope of 2. So I am going to put the slope or m value in right here. So now this m is going to become a 2. So now what I have is I forgot, I said put in the 4 and I put in the y, so let's go back and let's put in the 4 there like we were tending on. So now what we have for our equation is we have 4 equals 6 plus b. That's certainly an equation I know that you can solve because all you have to do is subtract 6 from each side, and what you get then is that your b value, you get your b value now, is -2. So now I have my y-intercept, okay, because remember I always need to have my y-intercept right here, and I already had my slope, remember, that was given to me, so I'm going to put the slope in, and I can write the equation. So the equation of the line that has a slope of 2 and goes through the point 3, 4, this example becomes y equals, then I go ahead and put my slope in that I was given, 2x, and then my b value plus a -2, or just -2. So there we go. All right, so here's the other two steps that finish that problem up. So step number 3 is that we solve for b. That's what we did. Then we write the new equation and we put the slope, or m, that we were given into the equation right here, and we put the b that we just found in right here, and we write that equation. This is an important note as well down here, that I'll make sure you're always putting the x and y back into the equation. You're just using the slope and the y-intercept. So again, from that example, we know that the slope right here is 2, and the b value we found that went through that point when we solved it, the b value was -2. So now we write the equation y equals 2x minus 2. So again, we kind of finished it off on that last page, but again, these are the extra notes. These are the last 2 steps for you to include in your notes. So let's try some other examples. Okay, it says write an equation in slope-intercept form given the slope and a point on the line. So again, we're going to do the same thing. Those first 2 steps say to take the x and y value from your point and put them in for x and y right here. And we also take the slope that we're given right here and we put that in for m. So we can actually do all of these in one step if you want. It's totally up to you. So I'm going to go ahead and put my y value in for y right here. So that's going to give me -2 equals, now I'm going to put my slope in of -2/5. I'm going to put my x value in, which is -2. Remember, those are multiplied together. And then I have at the end plus b. So I substitute everything in. Now I'm just going to use the math, my algebra skills, to actually go ahead and solve for b. So we have a fraction here. Good thing we learned how to do fractions. Oh, my x value is -10, not -2. So -10 there. So double check your work, make sure you got everything plugged in correctly, and now we can keep solving. So we have -2 equals, and when I multiply -2/5 over, or times -10, what I get is, remember, multiply the 2 numerators together. So -2 times -10 is +20 over 5, and then I have that plus b again. Well, 20 over 5 is just 4. So now what I have is, I have -2 is equal to 4 plus b. And you can use a calculator at this point in time. Remember, we're done with our basic skills with no calculator. Since we already know how to do that, we can just go ahead and use the calculator to make our work a little bit easier. So now when I subtract 4 from each side, I get my b value is -6. So I have my slope, I have my y-intercept. Now I have all the pieces I need to write the equation. So I write y equals, I'm going to color code this. Here's the slope that we were given, -2/5. We always leave those x and y's in there. And then I have my b value, which is plus a -6, or just -6. All right, it's your turn. Okay, it's your turn to try example 3. So I'd like you to pause the video and see if you can follow those same steps to plug your slope in here to y equals mx plus b, and plug your x and y value in for y and x, and solve for b. So go ahead, pause the video, give this a try, then restart the video to see if you got it correct, and also to so that I can give you some further explanations if you need them. Okay, when we start this out, okay, we start by writing the equation y equals, and I like to put my slope in first, that's just me. So there's my 3x plus b. But again, you could put those x and y values in right away and put in your x and y. So my y value is 1 and my x value is -4. So now what I have is 1 is equal to -12 plus b. And again, b is what I'm trying to find so that I can write that equation. Now I'm just going to add 12 to each side, and that gives me my b value is equal to 13. Now I have my slope, my y-intercept. I can go ahead and write the equation. Your equation should look like y equals 3x plus 13. All right. So what if we were just given 2 points on the line instead of the slope and a point? Could we still write the equation? Well, we know that we could take these 2 points right here and plug them into the slope formula. Y2 minus y1 equals x2 minus x1. So yes, we could calculate the slope and put it in here. Then all we would need to do is do the exact same thing we just did. Once we have our slope, we put it in here, and then we can take either one of these points, the x and y, and use the x and the y values that you're going to put in here with the slope to find your b. Once you have what b is equal to, now you would have your b value, and you would have the slope that you calculated right here, and you would have enough to write the equation. So that's the last skill. It tends to be kind of tricky because there's lots of steps, but I know that you can do this, okay? I know that you can be successful if you just take it one step at a time. So we can follow the same steps we just have done to calculate the slope, okay, from the 2 points that we got first. Okay, then we just follow the same steps we already used. So in this particular example, if I'm calculating the slopes, again, I'm going to label these so I make fewer mistakes, and now I'm going to plug them in. I have -5, and I'm subtracting 1. I'm subtracting that other y value over -2 minus 2. So this gives me -6 over -4, which is the same as 3 over 2. So I have, that is what my slope is equal to. Now all I need to do is take that slope with one of the points, okay? So now I have my slope. So now really I'm back to, here is my slope, okay? I am going to put it in right there. Then again, I am going to take one of these points. It doesn't matter, you could use either this point or this point. I usually choose the one that is smaller numbers or fewer negative signs. So now I'm going to take the x value and put it in here. So my x value is 2. I'm going to put that in there. I'm going to put my y value in here. And so rewrite this and solve for b. So what I would have is 1 is equal to 3/2 times my x value of 2, and then plus b. So now what I have when I multiply these fractions together, remember put a 1 under this, this is 6 over 2, which 6 divided by 2 is just 3. So now I have 3, so 1 equals 3 plus b, subtract 3 from each side, and I get b is equal to -2. So now I have my slope and my y-intercept again, so I can write my equation. Y equals 3/2 x minus 2. And if we picked the other point, we would get the exact same b value. It won't matter. All right, so here's your turn to try one. So see if you can go through this work yourself, pause the video, and then restart the video to see if you got it correct. Okay, but remember, the first thing you need to do is find the slope. And when you plug these values in, you would have 4 minus 0 over negative 6 minus 2, which gives you a value of 4 over negative 8, which is negative 1/2. So there's my slope that I plug in here. Then I take one of the points. Again, this one looks simpler. I'm going to use this point right here, and I'm going to plug in the x and y values over here. So my y value is 0, my x value is 2, and I plug that in with my slope of negative 1/2. And then I have that plus b. So I'm trying to find that b value, so I already have the slope. I need to find the b value or y-intercept or write the equation. So now this becomes, when I solve this for b, I get 0 equals, and again, negative 1/2 times 2 is negative 2 over positive 2, which is negative 1, and then plus b. Now I add 1 to each side, and I get my b value is 1. So again, I have my slope and I have my y-intercept, so I can write the equation in slope-intercept form. Y equals m, which is my slope, negative 1/2, x plus b. All right, hopefully this gives you some good information and practice. There is an additional example here. I'm going to leave that for now, but you can certainly check the notes. Go ahead and give it a try, and then check the notes to see if you did it correctly. And then the last thing we are going to do is an exit slip. In class, yes, we'd use a partner, okay? But if you're watching this video at home, obviously you might not have a partner. So see if you can write an equation in slope-intercept form given the slope and a point on the line, or 2 points. So these are the 2 skills we learned today. So go ahead and try these 2 skills and then check the notes to see if you got them correct. So the last 2 are on your own, and then go back and review the notes that will be posted or that are posted so that you can make sure you're getting them correct. And if you're not, then please make sure you are asking questions.